yesterday, the midday was really, really tricky. So a couple things to just be mindful of, and this is happening. This has been happening now like 3 out of the last like 6, 7 days. Really, like the midday has been like just like a big shit show, and if you're like trying to trade during the midday, it's been like really tricky where like you're just kind of like stuck in the chop and there's no range. And then this is what happened to me yesterday. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go take a nap, and then like everything kind of broke out, right? And that's usually kind of the case for stocks in general, right? The open is hot. You have to make all your money at the open. There's just no getting around it. If you're like sitting there and you didn't get enough profit at the open, you're trying to make it midday, then you'll lose. You'll end up big time red. And then end of the day, the market chooses a side. So that's always the case with the market. The open's about volatility. It's about shred. Midday is about retracement. End of day, a stock will choose a side, right? Was it good versus evil? And you'll see that a lot, and this has been happening really the last like kind of few days where like this like middle of the day has been really tricky. I wouldn't even say tricky. It's just midday is almost always untradeable. Like frankly, if I didn't have the chat room with you guys, I would not be even in there. I'd be sitting there jerking it, watching YouTube videos and stuff, most of the afternoon. There's just always been the case like that for like at least since I've been trading. So just like different things to be mindful of. You've got to always come in and hammer the open, because otherwise you're going to be like left really just fucking trying to grease out money where there's not money. And that's like a really tricky place to be in your trading when you're trying to like force something. You're trying to force yourself to get positive, but it's not the time of day where you can even really statistically make, much money. And some people can, but whatever. And Chris, John, no small caps. Okay, SFX. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so SFX had earnings, but man, that's a big gap, huh? So SFX is not like 40% is a big gap. It may have a chance if it pulls back. I mean, this is a big time earnings breakout, but you're up 48% and you're kind of coming into its 2018 highs. In this market, this kind of thing can work. I put this on the list, but with the big hairy butt of like only on, I'd hit this only on pulls. I'd only hit this like really on a pullback. Otherwise, man, this is going to be real tricky. So I would, man, that's a weird one, due to the size of the gap. But I'd add it. It'd be nice if it just gapped up like 10%, right? IPV, junk. This IPV company's gone. The warrants on a lot of these companies have gone crazy. If anybody's familiar with warrants, like it's like a cheaper way to play some of these SPACs, essentially. But they are flying around. Now look, this laser's gapping up here. We've got a whole host of companies that are starting to push. Well, the SMAR is kind of interesting. So this is a software application company. This has got 2018 IPO breakout here. It's only $7 billion company, so it's not too crazy. I'm not sure what kind of liquidity is going to be in there. Yesterday it did 3 million shares, give or take. I'd actually add this to the list. Like this kind of breakout stock has been working in this market. Like I'd be down with that one. What do you think? Yeah, I think so too. Let's add that. My worry on this is going to be the liquidity. Is it going to have the heat on it? QS, what the fuck happened with this bad boy? Damn. So this one is more... Man, this one is tricky because you're gapping up right into resistance. I wouldn't come in hot on this thing, into this like old high. You're gonna have to let this one pull back too. Man, it's tricky because it is really hot. I wouldn't chase this thing up at the open into the kind of double top, but if you start to pull back and like you start to get a little bit of a bigger base or something, then I think we're fine. I just wouldn't chase it like right at that opening tick, just in case it gets shorted up in here. Let it pull, let it hold, and then you know, we give it a whirl. I mean, hot is hot. You know, that's just the nature of the game, but we just got to be careful on the location. Now, this laser to me looks like it's probably going to be a short today. Now, I've been thinking that for a few days, but I think this one's going to be this one's looking like a short. Your 9 EMA's at 28. You're at 45. I think probably a push, you know, close to 50 might do this. The one thing with laser that makes it trickier than like a lot of companies that are rubber band shorts is that the market cap on this is actually still pretty low. If I'm reading this correctly, it's like only $2 billion even after this big run. So that's like kind of where it's still a pretty low market cap. So that's why it can move so fast. It's got like that spread on it that really kind of makes it, man. I think this is on the short list. This is on the short list. I don't want to, but we have no choice. As Americans, as people of honor, like we just can't let these piggies fly all day. Sometimes we got to put them back into reality. I do like the company overall, but I like it at 20, not at 45. Now, on the other side of things, look, that laser, you may get some spin-off into like some of these other ones. So like VLDR is doing really the same thing. LiDAR provides sensors for Ford, Auto, sand trucks, whatever that fucking means, right? But this one's got like a lot more room left to go. Its float is pretty tiny too. It's a $2 billion company. I mean, obviously doesn't have the heat that laser does right now, but it's starting to pick up. Like yesterday, it was up about 18-20%. And then, yeah, I mean, that thing, I would add this to like probably top of the list. You know, on the first pullback on this intraday, I think this one will have a little bit more room where like if you're left, you know, chasing this laser, even if you're day trading it, you're really getting into a weird spot where like you could have like a picture perfect intraday setup and the bottom just drops off. And then, you know, your testes descend and you're in a weird pickle. I just leave that, man, that's really tough. So I'd go in with VLDR. I think it's just going to be a little bit easier. Man, this future is more of a swing trade, but it is really hot. Like it's very important. Like, you know, I've been stuck in this thing for like a few days. It's very important to have your stops in the right spots because, you know, even if you have like moving averages and stuff, you know, price support is, yeah, VLDR could be a swing if you bought it 2 days ago, Marco. Great idea. 2 days late. 1 day late. Yeah, I think this one busts loose the highs. Tyler, look, you got to always put the stop losses under the breakout. Well, Marco, just then go buy it. All right, MP. This is actually an interesting company. They do rare earth metals. This used to be a spec, but they've changed. You know, they changed their name from something else to this now. Now they're not a spec. They're a regular company. Man, this to me is also like one of those that probably is going to be a short sometime soon. Candles completely outside the upper Bollinger Band. You had overbought stochastics here at 97 stochastics. Candles completely outside the upper Bollinger Band. You're getting in that weird spot. These SPACs are getting really, really frothy. What's going to happen, this is how it kind of works, right? We've seen this now with rubber band shorts. Like in the last, like so many we've done, right? With like, I mean, every high flyer that, you know, we've been doing, like even like PLTR, right? Like a week ago. These things will start to fly. Sometime midday, somebody important will say these things are overbought or they're frauds or this one or that one. And they'll make a case on one of the ones that is up the most. And then it starts to sprinkle. It could also be a series of downgrades. But it's usually something like that. They start to get frothy, and then something tips it over the edge. And it's usually like, it could be like Citron tweeting something, or those muddy fuckers saying like, hey, we're shorting this. And before you know it, right, like the whole sector starts to bleed out for the day. It doesn't mean like long term, right? We're talking about on a day trade basis. But I'm guessing something like that will probably happen here relatively soon. Man, yeah, you're getting into some interesting sweet spots on this. So, yeah, what are you gonna do, right? I think that the short is coming. We just gotta be kind of mindful of the locations of this. Oh, I didn't even know that you can do that on these. Look at that. Doot, 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 doot. Boom. Yeah, I like mine cleaned up. All right, so something like this, probably a short, but later on, I do think XPEB and LI are starting to base out here. I think now that XPEB has done their offering, Brad, MP's done. They do rare earth metals, whatever that really means. They do rare earths. So I guess it's like something rarer than gold. Oh, burn! This one, they got their offering out of the way. Now with the offering out of the way, if it starts to remount these MAs here, like you're in a real good spot over there. You can see like, even on like, if you look at 15-minute chart, right after the downtrend, you're starting to like build some support here at 46. You're testing that level, you're absorbing it. Now that the offering is out of the way, you don't have to worry about, right, that monster cock dilution that comes in. That's going to be pretty important. I think this one's got a chance here, I mean, you could draw a million trend lines. Trend lines don't really matter. But, like, what you can kind of see is the support is starting to build. Now, what you want to start to see is, right, like on a kind of longer-term basis, so you could use, like, a 30-minute chart or, even an hourly chart. When that 9 EMA starts to like curl up on the hourly charts, anytime you're trying to do bounces, this is just kind of fun fact, anytime you're trying to do bounces, watch like a 30-minute or a 60-minute, depending on how fast you trade. When those EMAs start to curl its way back up on an hourly chart, it'll usually tell you like the bounce is on. Like you started to see that, right? Like even, you're starting to see that with this like future and stuff like that, where it's like, you start to push its way back higher, and that's when you want to get really interested in these things. That's when you can start to say, okay, on a shorter time frame beyond, right, your daily chart, you're starting to see a rebound in trend, a rebound in price action. Man, this thing's going to be hot today, too. We got to hit this on first dip. QS first dip, Futu first dip, XPLI, rebound plays. And then we got VLDR. Dun, 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 dun. TRNE. This is going to be a short too soon. This one needs to push a little bit more, though. Yeah, junk. All right, let's see what's... Hey, the CGRO, this is another one. I thought at first this was a pot stock. This is also one of those LiDAR companies for autonomous driving. This one is not like... It's in the same sector as laser. I wouldn't say it is laser, right? Because that'd be foolish, but it's in the same sector as VLDR. Now, this one does kind of trade a little bit weird. For some reason, I saw the CG in this collective growth. I thought it was a pot stock. I saw this thing pushing around, and I was like, yeah, is that pot stock? And it wasn't. Dun-dun-dun-dun. All right, let's see if there's anything hot on the downside. CBAT, junk. Offering. Bum, bum, bum. You know what? The CICC, I was hoping for a gap up on this one. We would have taken it short. We can't chase this one down. 8%, leave it alone. CSAC, let me look. I'm not sure on CSAC. They do have some news out that the Faraday EV company is like the acquisition target on that. It doesn't really look like much. That's probably more of like a buy and hold kind of thing. Alright, JMIA. Yo, this JMIA is top of the list too, though. JMIA top of the list. You're starting to build out a little bit of a flag here. Add that to the top. There's a lot of companies that are really moving around, so you're gonna have to really kind of lower. You're gonna have to change up your watch list just a tad. Growth, place sell. That's an offering. Chunk. Don't worry, we're gonna kind of come in and clean up the list here because our lists are getting too big. Yeah, Tesla set to raise $5 billion in stock offering. Yeah. Well, it's not, it's like 1% of what they're doing, so not a huge offering. I'm surprised these fuckers don't try to raise like as much as they can. If my stock price up 1,000% in 1 year, I am selling, offerings, dilutions, whatever I can. Get my hands on that money. Man, yeah, it may get bought up. Usually the day of the offering, things can go either way, so probably leave that alone. All right, so let's go in summary. We got our list. I'm sticking to it. All right. IPOB, possible day 2 play. Usually sometimes the second day is cleaner than the first day of the breakout. Like yesterday, it wasn't very clean. IPOB day 2. XPEV for the rebound. We got SFIX on the gapper, but this is not a priority. SMAR, I think, is a little bit better. It's got a lower, I wouldn't say float, but it just moves because it's in software. It moves a little bit better. We got QS on first dip. We got Futu on first dip. Pull back to 9 EMA, 20 EMA. Laser short at some point. PLTR, my gut feeling is this one's a short today. I may be wrong, but gut feeling that one's a short today. At some point, if it squeezes up. This push yesterday, which was like $5, was because they signed like a $44 million contract over like 4 years. It's like a $40 million market cap. They're like, hey, we signed a $40 million contract. We still got PDD on the list, but I think, the rest of these are more kind of side. I'll watch these myself for us. I wouldn't worry too much about these. I'd go in with VLDR, laser. We got our SPACs, we got our EVs, and then we got IPOB, we got Futu. That is the list. And I'm sticking to it. That's the list. I'm sticking to it. You could add Blink 182 to the list too. I got that. Hey, by the way, one stock to keep an eye on. Maybe more of a swinger. This ZS has had a nice kind of 3-day pull after. ZD had a nice 3-day pull after that big earnings pop. Like this thing, I think this thing's got a chance. Good. QS. Man, QS has fixed. One thing is it's going to be very easy to get very, very big long lists in this market. You got to just kind of keep trimming them down of all the junk that you're not going to probably trade. What we'll do, and it's important to run kind of your I would run your liquid gainer scanners right at, I would run them right at 945, because then what you can do here, what you'll find is you'll have a good shot at, you'll get a good shot at just catching some of the stuff that maybe didn't show up right away. That's the list. I'm sticking to it. Jay, didn't what I just say? That's the list. I'm sticking to it. Every stock looks good, guys. Every stock looks good. There's not a single stock in the market that doesn't have the hot chart. But